Hey, everybody, I'm Ryan. I play guitar and Move Like Creatures.
Hi, I'm Nancy, and I'm the lead singer of Move Like Creatures, and we're hanging with Rob on Front Row Live.
All right, guys, congratulations with the debut EP. You guys came in hot with this 5-track EP. Your music's catchy. That I gotta say that right from the get-go. Talk to me about like coming together and like creating the style of music that you do, especially for this EP.
Sure. Well, I think we're all an eclectic group of people. We all come from super different backgrounds musically. And when we started writing, it was, right when the happened. So we had plenty of time. And we didn't really go into it with an idea of, hey, we're going to make it sound like this. We just put a little piece of each of us into it, and it became what it is, especially when we went into the studio. Ryan, I don't know if you have any more to add.
And we had some 5-song demos that we recorded before we went into the studio, and it changed so much just once we got in the studio with Ethan and started working out some ideas. And if you just compare like the final product to what the demos sound like, it's just like night and day. So it's a good experience. I'm just excited that the music's finally released now.
What really kickstarted that writing process for Space Case?
I mean, a lot of it was one of us would come up with an idea. Either Brian or Ryan had a riff or just something simple, and then I would write lyrics and melody over it. But honestly, a lot of lyrics and melody, I'm a weirdo. I drive in silence a lot because that's when I hear my own melodies a lot of the time. So for instance, with Ghost Me, I was just in my car, and I think I was like upset with a friend who totally just disappeared out of nowhere. And I know it was because I didn't respond right away. And I kind of was thinking about it in my car, and the melody just popped in my head. So, I mean, there's different ways, but usually that's how the song starts.
Yeah. And I think with Space Case, that kind of started with a beat that Brian made. And he was kind of inspired by some artists that he listens to. And we kind of just got together at practice one day and kind of worked out just like a chord progression for the chorus. And Nancy just came up with a melody pretty much on the spot. And then there's this cool guitar solo at the end that I love playing, but that was actually kind of a credit to Brian too. We were kind of like trying to figure out how to like end the song, because we had like a pretty solid like verse and chorus and stuff, but we weren't really sure how to end the song. And Brian's like, well, how about if we just do a long solo? And I'm like, all right, that works for me. So it's my song where I get to shine a little bit at the end.
I love that you guys kickstarted the band with Mind Reader. It's super catchy. Like that really caught my attention. What was the reasoning behind debuting with the single?
I've always really loved music that was what I call happy sad, where it sounds happy, but then you dive into the lyrics and you're like, oh, that's kind of not happy, So I think we felt it was our most catchy and kind of combined a little bit of everything as far as directionally what we were looking to do sound wise. And yeah, we definitely guinea pigged it with our friends, and they're like, oh yeah, this one. So, I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons we started with that song, but I think it's our most catchy.
Yeah, I agree. I think in the studio, we all kind of agreed on that as we were listening back to the final products before we got them mixed and mastered and all that. And I was just listening to Mind Reader. I'm like, yeah, that's a banger right there. Like that's the catchiest one for sure. So I think we just wanted to come out with a good first impression, so that was kind of the reasoning behind releasing Mind Reader first.
And then how did you guys connect with Ethan as far as production goes, and what was that experience like working with Ethan?
Ethan's been a good friend of mine for 10 years or so, and I've worked on previous projects with him, and it was really weird because I had just started writing with them, and he had been off social media forever and like popped up again. He's like, I'm back, and messaged me out of the blue, like, hey, are you still working on stuff? Like, what are you doing? And I sent him over some of the demos. He's like, all right, write 5, let's get in and work on them. But working with him is always amazing. He's just a great person all around, and he's extremely talented.
Yeah.
When you guys, oh, sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, he definitely I give him a lot of credit for like the stuff that I ended up and like recording and writing for the songs. Like I was kind of uncertain on a lot of the parts that I wanted to play when we went into the studio, and just getting in there and working with Ethan, he kind of like challenged me to like kind of improvise and write some cooler, more catchier, unique sounding guitar stuff. So I think a lot of the sound on the final product really came from Ethan.
Ryan, did you find yourself collaborating a lot more with Melissa during this process just to kind of get the right riffs with the right drum beats?
I would say that was probably more like between Brian and Mel, just kind of that having like that bass and the drums is kind of like the rhythm section. I kind of feel like guitar wise, I'm kind of like in my own little universe. So, but no, definitely we all, collaborated a lot and threw ideas back and forth. Yeah, I think definitely the connection between Brian and Mel as a bass player and drummer was probably more what drives a lot of the music.
Nancy, you coming from other projects as well, like what did you do differently vocally with this music?
Well, a lot of my music in my old project they were still pop rock-ish, but they were more California reggae kind of. So I felt like I had a lot more freedom vocally in this one to just fully, whatever was going to happen, and whatever came out of me was what came out of me. So that's kind of how I felt it was different. In this one, there wasn't a lot of opinions really. Everyone just kind of was like, oh yeah, you do you, girl. Like, so that was cool.
With these 5 tracks, what would you say like you guys felt like you really stepped out of your comfort zone, and why?
Well, that's a good question.
I think just like when I went into the studio with Move Like Creatures, it was like the first time I had recorded with a band for like a really long time. And like I mentioned before, it was, I was kind of uncertain about a lot of the stuff I wanted to play. So just kind of like meeting Ethan for the first time and just like collaborating back and forth with somebody that you're not super familiar with yet, was kind of stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit. And like I ended up improvising so much stuff, guitar wise. So that was kind of me stepping out of my comfort zone, I would say.
I honestly didn't feel out of comfort very much in the process. I was like, yes, I'm here. I am ready. This is what I'm supposed to be here doing. But there's definitely, parts where you stretch yourself lyrically or vocally. And I guess for me, just being vulnerable, since I'm the one writing the lyrics, it's kind of like, just putting it all out there. So I'd say that's probably the closest to that I could relate to.
And you really do put it all out there, especially on topics like mental health. So when you started writing that, was that something that you felt was easy to come out of you, or was that something that you kind of had to work on before you got to the recording process?
I'm really a big believer in any secrets you hold have power over you. So I'm very much an open book, especially when it comes to mental health and just experience in life as a whole, because I feel like the more open you are, the more you hear about other people and they're in the same boat as you, and then you feel less crazy. So I feel it wasn't hard for me to be open, because it's kind of how I am. I just kind of roll in. I'm like, here's all my cards, guys. You want to hang, So I've had a good experience of being an open person. So it was a good experience.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations with this EP, and looking forward to catching up with you guys again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.